I have not paid for housing in about 6 years. And I've lived at 3 different places, and I've actually made multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars from living at those places. So today I wanted to show you how I did that. I got my first house hack when I was 22. I'm currently 28. I'm on my 3rd house hack. And I want to walk you through exactly how I did that and eliminated my biggest expense, which is the biggest expense for most Americans. A lot of people wonder how I got house at 22, and it's because I was working from like the age of 11. So I had a lot of experience with working. I was very consistent. I had multiple jobs. So my income, even though it wasn't good hourly because of how much I was working, I was able to get a loan with that. Also, when you do buy a multifamily, they will count a percentage of how much you're going to be making from that as your own income. So that also helps boost your income. So when I started, I used a FHA 3.5% down first time home buyer loan. I bought a multifamily. So with an FHA, you can buy up to 4 units. That's considered, like residential because you're owner occupying the property. And I honestly don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember I brought a check for $6,500 to closing because it would have been like $1,600 or something like that. But I asked for $10,000 back towards closing costs. So I actually put more money on the loan. I put an extra $10,000 on the loan, but that was $10,000 less cash that I had to have. And I had about $25,000 total when I started this whole process. And I landed with like $10,000 to $15,000 after the process was done. But that was the catalyst that completely changed my life and got me financial freedom. And speaking of financial freedom, before I get into the numbers and how I've been able to do this 2 more times by kind of skirting the system. There's this software that I've been using recently called Wisefy. It's like a budgeting app, but it's a lot more than that. And if you're trying to reach financial independence, this is like really good. It's not sponsored or anything, but I wanted to tell more people about this. Pretty much you put in all your income, expenses, all of that stuff like a regular budgeting app, and then it'll calculate on what's gonna happen if you don't change anything about your life. And then what would happen if you do what they recommend, and then what's gonna happen if you create a budget and you stick to that budget, whether that's earning more or spending less. It's way more in-depth than a normal budgeting app, so it doesn't have a cost, but you can get 30 days for free if you use the link down below. Honestly, I've absolutely loved this. I've already recommended it to a bunch of friends and family. I want to let you know about that. There's also like free courses, videos on how to do everything. It's so well put together. If you're trying to reach financial independence, highly recommend it. So I was able to have one of the tenants evicted upon closing so that I could owner occupy, because legally in order to get the loan, I had to owner occupy and they were all occupied. So I spent another like between $5,000 and $10,000 and months of my life renovating that apartment. It was completely trashed. There was a hoarder living there, nicotine dripping down the walls. But then at the end, my mortgage, taxes, and insurance were about $1,500 a month. And the other 2 apartments were close to $1,000 a month each. I was able to live in 1 unit, rent out the other 2, and live completely for free. And then all of that money that I would have spent on housing or rent or whatever it was, I put immediately into savings, and that just boosted my savings so incredibly much. In fact, it boosted it so much that I was able to do the same thing about a 1.5 years later on a bigger property. First time home buyer again, because technically it was a step up. So if you're upgrading your living situation to a bigger place or to less units, you can use a first time home buyer loan again. But this was a conventional 5% down one. So with that one, I lived in 1 unit as I was renovating it. I renovated another unit and I turned that into 4 separate Airbnbs that all made about $1,000 a month each. Plus the 3rd unit made another $1,000 a month. So I was living in a 4-bedroom unit and making $5,000 a month in income with a mortgage of $2,500. So I was making like $1,500 a month profit from that place, plus living for free, plus making $1,000 a month profit from the place that I moved out of. So if you're keeping track, that's $2,500 a month that I was taking in, as well as having no housing expenses and no car expenses, because my car was like a $5,000 Honda Civic. So in the end, and while that was a decent amount of work, that's what allowed me to leave my job, because I had no bills really. Like my bills were under $2,500 a month. Then after about a year of taking that time and focusing on YouTube, it started making more than I was making, working 3 jobs before, which was really cool. But I wouldn't have had the opportunity to put so much focus on that if I hadn't done those house hacks and eliminated my biggest expenses. It opened up a ton of opportunities. So now we're at this house here, which is absolutely beautiful. It's a single family with that attached dwelling. That attached dwelling pays about $2,000 a month, and the mortgage, taxes, and insurance are $3,000 a month. The other 2 multifamilies that I have now bring me about $2,500 a month right now between the 2 of them. So if you kind of calculate that into this one, then technically we are still living for free in a beautiful home with a yard. We just got chickens, and all of that has been made possible by extreme sacrifice up front and buying that first rental, not like saving every penny that I made and working so much extra at the beginning. And that's allowed me to kind of, you know, have everything that I've been able to build now. So hopefully this encourages you to do some house hacking. If you guys have questions, happy to do more videos on it. Also, don't forget to check out WiseFi if you want to kickstart your financial journey. And I'll see you in the next one.